So let's talk. This video is a more serious one, but there's also going to be a little humor spread throughout because I don't do anything without a little humor involved. So let's just get right to it. When I was a senior in high school, 17 years old, my dad killed himself. It was kind of hard for me to say that out loud, and I couldn't find the right words because some people say, you need to be careful, you need to say died by suicide. That's the new appropriate way to refer to it. If you ask me, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say died by suicide. That sounds like a normal thing. That sounds like someone whose parent dies of old age, of someone whose parent dies with a disease. They're sick. And yes, obviously there's a disease and sickness under anyone who commits suicide. There's a reason for it. It doesn't just happen. It's not random. You don't catch it like a cold or develop it like a virus. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not going to talk about it like it's just something that was easy and something that should be sanitized, because people don't talk about it, especially when it comes to men. And I'm not even talking about men being the ones who die by suicide, who commit suicide. I'm talking about the survivors of someone who dies by suicide. So I can say both interchangeably. Sometimes it's easier to say that, and sometimes, probably when I'm most angry about it, I just say killed himself, because that's the harsh reality. When it happened, do you think it was sugarcoated to me? No. Do you want to know how I found out? I was taking a bath, because I love baths. I still like baths to this day, which is weird because you think this would have tainted my relationship with bathtubs, but it didn't. I was in the bath. I got a phone call from a friend, and I live in a small town in Tennessee. It's customary here for people, especially older people, to have police radio scanners in their house. So anytime the police goes out to an accident, or the ambulance is dispatched, or police are dispatched, or fire, it's on the scanner, so everyone hears it. So if something happens and they don't say a name or something on the radio, but they say a location, you would get a call from like an older relative saying, "Oh, is this person home? Is this person okay?" So one of my friends, her parents had a scanner in their house, and I basically got a phone call that said, "Hey, we just heard on the scanner, did your daddy kill himself?" So there was that, and we were both young at the time, so I don't blame her. Obviously, it wasn't the right way to tell someone that. It was a little harsh for that to be the way I found out, but kind of ruined my bath and the rest of that senior year of high school. That's how I found out. Not long after, I believe. It's a blur to remember because it was 12 years ago now. It was in 2013 in January, and I was 17. I'm 30 now. I just turned 30 last month. Like I was saying, I don't remember. It's kind of a little blurry because it was a long time ago. I wish I would have recorded this sooner just so I could capture the moments and what it was like, because I think it's important for other people. It's a topic that's very censored and sanitized, especially on social media. And I'm going to call out the platforms that do that, because there's a reason that so many people go down this path. And it's because they feel like they have nowhere else to go, no one to talk to, and no outlet. And, if you try to post a video talking about suicide awareness, or losing a loved one to suicide, or having thoughts of suicide in the past, or something like that, the video is going to get flagged or something. It might get taken down or demonetized or whatever. I don't care about that. I just hope this video doesn't get taken down, because it's an important topic that needs to be talked about more. There's a reason in particular why men are more likely to commit suicide, because they don't talk about it. They don't talk about their feelings and their thoughts and all of that stuff. They keep it bottled up until they crumble. Literally. So I'm going to talk about it as long as I can. I don't know much about all the stages of grief. I don't know what stage I'm in at this point. I'm still probably a little pissed off Like, really? This is what you're gonna do to me? Like, over Christmas break, right before I go back to school to start the second half of my senior year, right after I just found out I got into my university of choice, that I'm going to be moving to DC and going to my dream school in the fall, not to mention graduating high school in May. So you're just gonna do this and throw a little wrench? Like, how selfish. And I don't care if that sounds bad to say. There are plenty of times where I felt like my dad made everything about himself, and that includes birthdays and holidays. And I'm not the only one who has felt that. That's not to mention of whatever happened in his life and his childhood, okay? But someone who is always supposed to be there for me in my life until they died at an old age of a natural cause or because of something they didn't do, a decision they made, then yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say I'm a little pissed off, and that may make someone mad who watches this video. I don't care how you feel. I'm talking about how my experience was with it. So yeah, I'm still in the pissed off phase. There's probably never gonna be a time where I understand it. I think it's selfish. I think it's entirely selfish. And some people will say that you're not supposed to say that. It's not selfish. These people think they were doing the right thing for you and, trying to help you. And, maybe they thought your life would be better without them in it. Okay, well, maybe they should have talked to me about it instead of assuming how I'm going to feel about it. There are reasons it happens, and I'm not criticizing that aspect of it. There are some things that people go through that I will never experience, but there are also things that people go through that I have experienced and lived through that they may have decided was their breaking point. We're all different. We all have different mindsets, mentalities, insinuating circumstances like our childhoods and how we grew up. All of our lives are different. And my psychiatrist says I have depression and anxiety. The depression, not so much. The anxiety, 100%. The anxiety probably comes from something. I don't know. We'll talk about that later on, I'm sure. But I just wanted to talk about this because if you're out there and something similar has happened to you, I want you to know that it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be angry. It's been 12 years and I'm still pissed off. And I'm probably gonna be pissed off. There's never gonna be a moment where I'm like relieved. I feel like I'm coming off as really hateful and rude and inconsiderate in this situation. I'm not. I'm just not sugarcoating it because it wasn't sugarcoated to me. It wasn't sugarcoated to a 17-year-old. So why should I sugarcoat it now? I shouldn't, and I'm not going to be bullied into it. I'm going to talk about it the way I want to. My mind may change in the future, but at this moment, this is how I feel. And I've seen the argument on both sides. I'm still on my side of the argument. No one has convinced me. And I have friends who have survived attempts. And I've never attempted. I've never even thought about it. But I know people who have, who did talk about it, who made it through it. And I just wish that he would have done the same thing instead of making that decision for everyone. I feel like I'm saying things that I really should get off my chest that I should have said before. Grief is an ever-evolving emotion. It's not constant. There are no neat little phases of grief, stages of grief. You can go through all of them at the same time. That's because we all react to things in our own ways. And all I want you to know is that that's fine. So I'll talk about something else. I'm going to be 100% open and honest. I requested the autopsy of my dad, which if you don't know, an autopsy is like the report they do on someone who passes away to figure out the cause of death. There's so many other aspects to this story. This video could be hours long. My main point of making this is to let you know that it's okay. How you feel is how you feel, and that's fine. And also, If you're feeling that way, if you're feeling like you have no other way out, talk to someone. Don't make that choice for them. You think you're making it just for yourself. You're not. You're making it for those around you too. And I don't care if that's controversial. We're allowed to have our own opinions. That's the way of life. If everyone thought the same, life would be so boring and uninteresting. I guess one thing I didn't talk about was the circumstances before that. My last conversation with her, it was probably around Christmas. I was sitting in a Lowe's parking lot in Crossville, Tennessee, with my friend Sammy. One of us had gotten a new phone, so we were sitting in like the parking lot of Lowe's and like setting up the phone. And I had a little truck at the time. The windows were rolled down. My dad just like came up and started yelling at me or something like that. I don't really remember. I don't remember what I said either. Probably not anything very nice, but that conversation did not last very long and I left. And that was the last time I ever talked to him. So there's that. Also, 2 years before that, he had attempted, and it happened the next day after we got into an argument on the way home from Washington because I had a youth conference in DC, and on the way back, I said he made things about himself, made this about himself too, and was unstable, and that's not my fault. I would have been 15 at that time. I don't have to take care of you. You're an adult. So, basically, we got into a fight. I don't remember what was over. Probably something really stupid. And then the next day, I don't know what exactly transpired. The bedroom door to my parents' bedroom was locked, and he wouldn't open it or respond. And so I had to kick the door open, and he was in there unresponsive on the bed because he had taken something. As far as I know, the helicopter came and picked him up because, like I said, I live in a small town, and, helicopters quicker to get to more specialized care at a bigger hospital. So that happened, and then I think he stayed at some um, mental psychiatric hospital for I don't know how long, a few days. And it was kind of like nothing ever happened. It's something we didn't talk about. I remember my Aunt Monica had come to pick me up, and because they didn't want me to be there when all of this happened, like when the ambulance came and all that stuff, or helicopter. So I remember I think she drove me to my grandparents' house. And yeah, my Aunt Margaret was visiting, and she took me to my grandma's house. I remember I said something in the car like, this is my fault, or he did this because of me, because we got into a fight the previous day or something. I don't remember if he ever apologized. I don't think he did. Um, but then 2 years later, the same thing happened again, except the second time he was successful. And I don't know, maybe he'd tried it before that too, and I just don't know. But there was a lot of chaos from him in my life because of him. And I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming him for not dealing with it, for bringing that negative energy that he didn't know how to deal with to my life growing up. Whatever happened to him in his childhood, his dad was probably just like he was. He had issues with his mom. So basically, I don't know. I'm not going to get into the weeds, but, it's just a little crazy. Everything that transpired before and after. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about in this video. I can't really talk about anything else. I'm like exhausted mentally just from reliving all of this. It's not something that, makes me sad. I'm not sad talking about it. I'm more just like this is something that's always, it's like a weight that's never going to be lifted that's on my shoulders because someone else put it there. And that's never going to be lifted. It's always going to be with me for my entire life. So there's that. So I don't want to talk about anything else. If you want to argue with me, you can argue in the comments. That's fine. You're probably not going to change my mind, and I'm entitled to feel how I want to feel. The main point of this was if you're seeing this and you're going through something similar, that it's okay to feel how you feel. Some people may not say that. They may say you need to heal and grieve in a certain way. That's not the case. So, anyway, that's it. Bye.